The mantras that we recommend, the mantras that we use are E, A, O, and Krim. Now this R is supposed to be rolled. So we can't roll our R's, so we can't demonstrate it for you. But it would be phonetically, it would be something like this. Krim. E-A-O, that should be straightforward. You can also use Aum, but E-A-O works. Aum works as well. You will probably find other mantras as well that you will find from different sources. So we're telling you from our experience what works for us. So we mostly just use E-A-O. But again, when you're doing this mantra with your partner, because it's better to do it together with your partner, you don't want to overdo it so that you transmute so much energy that you lose your state of arousal. You lose because if you lose your erection, if you go completely flaccid, you lose your erection, that's it. Your session of White Tantra is over. Not because you couldn't regain your state of arousal, but because if you do that, if you lose your erection and try to regain it through some more foreplay or whatever, etc., you're putting yourself in the danger zone of upwards of 90% or more probability that you're going to fall, meaning it's going to end up in an orgasm. By the way, that's what we mean when we say fall. In the context of Tantra, to fall means to have an orgasm, to lose control, to get pushed over the limit. This is not easy to do, especially if you've never done it before. To be able to modulate between those limits, the upper and lower limits, as we described, and maintain an erection, but not get so excited that you end up having an orgasm. This is, we say, easier for women to do because they don't suffer quite the same way as men do in terms of physical control of holding back their the orgasm, because it's generally speaking harder for women to orgasm. But that's not to say that it's easy for women to be able to modulate their own state of sexual arousal, because if the woman goes cold or she goes dry, these are other issues that couples run into, including there's also the issue of blue balls. It can be a very painful condition, and the only solution that medical science has for curing blue balls is to have an orgasm, to go to masturbate, because the blue balls is a condition where the sexual energy has been aroused for too long. But the case of blue balls happens when the session of White Tantra goes on for too long. There's too much arousal and not enough transmutation. If we want to use an analogy of burning coals, hot coals, the difference between White Tantra and typical sexuality is the coals flaming out in minutes versus being lit and the slow burn of hot coals for hours. And you can do that in Tantra. But if your vital body is not used to that, then you end up with such a wicked case of blue balls. And of course, you can't masturbate as a Gnostic, because you will undo any benefit that you got from the White Tantra if, to cure your blue balls, you then masturbate. You've undone everything that you accomplished during the Tantra. So it's better to start off in a humble way, in a simple way, because look, for most people, if they make love for half an hour, that's for most people a great achievement. For some people, 5 minutes is an extraordinary achievement in terms of longevity. So you don't have to begin by going 3 hours, right? If you've never gone running before and you go out and you try to do a 3-hour run, you're going to come back with the worst case of cramps. It's the same thing. We have to be practical, right? We're not going to be masters of White Tantra the first time we try this. And in fact, there's a very good chance, man or woman, that you will fall the first couple times, or that you'll have difficulties as a man maintaining your erection, that you'll run into some sexual dysfunction or some other issues. Be patient with yourself And be kind, especially also to your partner. This is for the ladies especially, okay? This is not easy for a man to retune his entire sexual organism, which since the age of 14 has been conditioned and has been geared through pornography and through everything else and through even the medical system telling him to masturbate as often as he wants, whenever he wants, because it's good and it's healthy for him, to now switch over into a modality where he has to try to maintain a high level of sexual arousal without losing it. This is not easy to do, especially if the individual involved suffers from fear or anxiety or self-doubt or any types of, like, there's all kinds of egos that can come into play, because the egos love to take advantage of sexual dysfunction, of, when we slip up and fall, the egos are there to pounce on us like vultures on a carcass in the desert. And rest assured that if you are with a loving partner and who's desperately wanting to create this beautiful, sacred, right, this highest yoga together with you, his mortal self and his pride as a man is going to get wrapped up in that. His ability to perform is going to be completely different than what it used to be, but still that impetus to perform and to be a man and to please his woman, even though in this particular case, the outcome is not that he's trying to make you orgasm, but the outcome is to create this beautiful, loving, magical experience. And if he fails to do so, or if he falls in his attempt to do so, or if some other dysfunction causes him an inability to do so, he is going to have a very likely the same type of psychological fallout from that as he would in any other sexual encounter, like in conventional sex, as if a man suffers from sexual dysfunction or impotency or whatever the case may be, right? For the women as well, although we can't speak with the same authority from the female's perspective, the female's point of view, because we've only been spectators in that department. But a similar thing applies, and it's something that you should not expect, like anybody getting on a horse for the first time. That horse is going to throw you from its back. It's going to happen. And when it does happen, the important thing is to remember that love is severity and mercy. The lords of karma are merciful. The masters are merciful. They've all been there. They've all gone through it. They know how difficult it is. So nobody's being judged and nobody's going to be punished because they did their White Tantra wrong or because their White Tantra turned into Black Tantra by the end of it. So this is all important to know, and important as you embark on this new level of creation, because that's what you're doing. It's a different level of magic. It's a different level of creation. You're creating solar bodies. You're creating a God within you, a newborn Christ, the innermost intimate Christ. And as a mortal, of all of the responsibilities that we have, it's very easy for this one to become like a huge monkey on our back, right? This enormous responsibility placed upon our shoulders. And the more you can, together with your partner, put yourself into a place of ease and of meditation and of truly loving and love making. We've often said that this is where the term love making comes from. You cannot make love while fornicating. You do not make love while you fornicate. You don't. You create lust, and or you create a baby. That's what you create. To literally make love is you must transmute the sexual force. You must use these mantras, you use prayer, and you use visualization, and you can use breathing. You can breathe together in unison with your partner as if you were both doing pranayama, and you can breathe and feel the energy rising up through your spinal column into the crown chakra. And then if you do that in unison and then you touch foreheads or you kiss and you do this on a rhythmic way, like the tides ebbing and flowing while you are making love. You are literally making love. And like pranayama, you can move the energy up to the crown chakra and then afterwards down into your heart, and you can press your heart close up against your partner's heart to heart, making love and transmuting the sexual force. And you may feel things that you have never experienced before. But, and this is again something that no one will tell you, because they will tell you in the new age how beautiful it is and wonderful it is, all the different places in your body where you can have an orgasm. You don't want to get carried away, because yes, you can have an orgasm in your heart. Without actually having a physical orgasm, you have an energetic orgasm. Oh, and it feels incredible and it feels magical and it feels all these things. But guess what? The energy is being released in that spasm, because the sexual energy isn't released in the bodily fluids. So in the new age, when they tell you about you can have orgasms in all the different parts of your body, and we'll teach you how to have orgasms everywhere, they're teaching you how to do black magic. They're teaching you how to lose the sexual energy and turning yourself more and more and more into a demon, body part by body part, by allowing lust to get into different body parts and get overexcited and over exuberant. Remember, it's like you're barbecuing a steak. You don't want the flare-ups. You want the nice hot coals. So this over exuberance, over excitement is to be moderated and modulated. Now, what if you do find yourself going over the edge, and you know you're going over the edge? What do you do then? Well, there's a technique for that. The technique is a half mantra that comes from a practice of pranayama called Hamsa. So that's a mantra that we can use in a pranayama. What we do in pranayama is we raise up the prana on the inhalation, and mentally we would say Ham, and then we visualize the fire atop the head. We make the sound like the hiss of a flame atop our head, and then we release it down into the heart with a sa. So this is in pranayama. This is called the Hamsa pranayama. So why do we mention this? Because if you are on the verge, there's no turning back. You know how it feels right before you're going to have an orgasm, and you're right there just on that border, or you've just passed the border. There is a chance for you to recover from that. First of all, you want to clench all of the muscles around the pelvic area. So you want to physically cut off the potential. This is especially for men here we're talking about now. You want to squeeze all of your muscles to hold back the ejaculation, and then very, very rapidly you do the hum sa, but not the ah part. So it's so it's like you're hyperventilating, really. And it's and visualize like you were doing the pranayama. You're drawing the energy up the spinal column and around the top and into your heart. And the emphasis is on the breathing in part, and the S part is the squeezing and the directing into the heart. It really is like like you're just like a pump and a suction, sucking everything and the energy and everything back up and atom, right? Up and atom, up the spinal column. And it's hums, hums, hums. And this is vigorous. So it's hums, hums, hums. We, of course, are not doing this justice, but then we don't have the intensity right now. We don't have the urgency to do it perhaps the way you end up doing it. But it's effective. It's effective. Not all the time. There's no guarantees, but it can be very effective.